Hi guys, first charity shop gold or garbage video of 2019, and we got a radio controlled car. So what have we got? We've got a Porsche DX121436, I don't know if that means anything. Hybrid. It's been in the wars a bit, back window's cracked. And it's missing the wing mirrors. Panamera S Hybrid. Oh, it looks quite nice. We'll have a look at what detail we can in a minute. We'll have a look underneath first. It cost me £1.50 in a charity shop. And they've stuck it over the label, so is that going to damage the label as we get it off, or is that going to, yeah, that's damaging it. I hate it when they do that. Have to be very careful. It's German writing. Don't know if the camera will pick up the detail on that. So DX Diasaw toys. 27.145 megahertz. Anything else on there? Made in China. Oh, I got a nice little bit of detail underneath. Wheels are nice. Disc brakes in there. I've already put fresh batteries in it, so I do actually know that it works. So there's no corrosion or anything in there. There was no batteries in there. I've put those batteries in. And you can't get the cover off unless you switch it off. So that's the on, that's the off. Inside, I don't know if we can actually see in there, but there is a lot of detail in there. So I would think this probably wasn't the cheapest of toys when it was brand new. Four-seater. Funnily enough, I'm very old school when it comes to Porsche. The only one I like is the 911. And if it doesn't look like a 911, then it doesn't look like a Porsche to me. So this thing, well, my personal opinion is it's awful. But it's for a different market to the old 911 and that. Right, while I've got it off the ground, I'm using one of my spare transmitters. It happens to match with it. Oh, need to switch it on again, don't we? Yeah, on, so yeah, we got headlights. And we go around the other end. And we got tail lights. It's got differential. So the wheels move independently. It's a little bit like that Lamborghini I've got. And it performs about the same. In other words, it's not terribly good. Yeah, it doesn't exactly wheel spin away, does it? Oh, it builds up speed a bit as it gets going, but it's not going to be doing donuts. And it actually comes to a rest gently It doesn't lock the wheels either. The thing is, I can't do all this with one hand. Okay, let's... Yeah, so we're not going to be doing fancy handbrake turns with it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very gentle. I think it's been built for looks rather than any sort of performance. Oh, out of focus. Let's come back a bit. Yeah, a nice looker, but not a high performer. I guess we ought to take it apart and have a look inside. Let's have a look inside. Turn it off for a start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 screws. Right, big reveal. Okay, so I've got wires going off to the LEDs for the headlights and tail lights. Fairly standard looking receiver. And we've got motor and gearbox at the back. That's interesting. At the front on the steering, the wheel arches are actually part of the steering setup. They hold the top end of the steering yoke. Right, let's change camera position and we'll have a look at the steering first. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here. If you're interested, I've got an entire playlist based on me taking apart the steering on these toy grade radio controlled cars. Every time I do a video where I take the steering apart, I add it to that playlist. And that will be in the video description. Right, plastic cover off. What have we got? Okay, we've got a separate unit there that's actually got the gearing in it. But the simple bit is, this is the rod that we push side to side, and that's the spring that does the centering, bringing it back to the middle. That's actually quite firm, that spring. These are labelled number 1 and number 2. Let's take one of them off just so we can see how it works at this end. Now, as I said, this bit of plastic is actually part of the steering mechanism. That hole there holds the top end of the, well, I'm calling that a yoke, but I don't know. We've got a bit of suspension now, we've got a spring on it. The wheel, annoyingly, is captive. We can't unscrew it to replace it. They are rubber tyres, and they're hollow, so they're nice and soft. So that bit is the lever arm that this bit pushes side to side. Can I get that? No, I'm going to have to undo the other one just so we can take it right off. Okay, so that's the other one, just the same, and then the push rod or bar. It's got a little peg sticking down there that goes into this centering mechanism, which has a little spring to put tension on it to hold the two arms together. And they're pivoted there, and then under there is the bit of plastic that adjusts the centre, so it's an offset plastic peg that as you turn it will push it one side or the other. And the difference that makes is that's the spring return to get the centre so it drives straight. That's what its purpose is, to bring you back to driving straight when you've been going around corners. So, take that little bit of dust off, put that one back on there. Put that on first. Is that the right way round? Were you paying attention? Because I've already forgotten. Very short-term memory. Number 1 was on that side. So it goes over there. Make sure that's all in the right place. Yeah, I think we're okay. Put those screws back in. Oh, sorry, arms in the way of the camera. pain. All right, one in. Okay, let's see, tighten that one up now. Okay, so that's that side. Yep. This one in. Piece number 2. In place. That's that mechanism back in place. Now let's have a look at this. Is that just, yeah, I think that's just going to lift off now, so we can get the top off. Yeah. So nice bit of reduction gearing. So small, big. Now, where's my pointer? Small pinion gear, big intermediate gear, small gear, big intermediate gear, small gear, big intermediate gear, small gear, big gear, and that's the one, if I hold that in place so it doesn't fall off, that's the one that turns there. Can we demonstrate? Yes, we can. So if we turn that one, we can see that peg moving side to side. Don't want them to drop out. The shaft up the middle, the gears don't actually stick to that shaft, they rotate freely on it. I think that's about it. Motor, a couple of capacitors on it to reduce the electric interference, or radio interference I suppose, and also that feels like they've got coils, I was going to say, under there. Yeah, I'll call them coils for now. Inductors, that's the word I was trying to think of. So the inductors and the capacitors reduce radio interference. I did have a question about that a little while back, so that's convenient to talk about it now. That's a nice bit of gearing, that. Might be able to use that on something completely different, where you wanted low gears to do something. These screws look like they're all the same size. There holds the case together. That one there goes onto there, and that one there also holds the case together. So if for some reason you wanted to convert this to hobby grade radio control, then you'd replace this bit with a proper hobby grade servo. Do away with the spring return, because you wouldn't need that with proper hobby grade. And then you'd have an arm, probably use a metal arm going straight over to there and there. Yeah, in fact, yeah, you could go directly to there and do away with all of that if you wanted to. I'm not going to be doing that. Right, are we back in place? Yep. Screws back in. Well, that was a relatively painless steering disassembly. That feels like that's not making very good contact, very good thread in there. It felt loose as I was taking it out, so you also need to turn it back very slightly when you start putting the screws back in so they find the right thread. But that one is already loose. Okay, do we want to look at the other side of this just in case there's a number on the receiver chip? I think there is a number on there, but it's got some sort of sticky over it to make it difficult to read. I'll see if I can get up close to that and get us a picture. But as we can see, 27 megahertz. And these here, these transistors are probably the H bridge for controlling the motors. Right, managed to clean that up and get a photo of it. So I'll superimpose that on the video. Put my light back. Excuse my fingers getting in the way again. But I'm really screwing the receiver back in place. Right, so that's the front end, the receiver, battery box here, negative, positive. Positive goes round to the on-off switch and then back round to the receiver board. That white and red wire go away to the LEDs, and that red and black wire go away to the LEDs. Red and black go to the front, and white and black. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry, the white is the aerial. Silly me. So white for aerial, red and black for LED, red and black for LED. The aerial, I reckon is probably wrapped around the inside. In fact, let's have a look at that next. Move the camera. So we can have a look at all that detail that they've got in there. Lift out nicely. Yes. very nice. Yeah. Right, so now we can see where the aerial goes. It goes to a metal plate. And then the inside of the car with all the detail. So we've got a dashboard display with the dials. We've even got the gear sticks, or the sticks, whether they're gear sticks or... Does this one have the flappy thing? Well, it's certainly got an ordinary gear stick there. I wouldn't know. I'm not actually a car enthusiast of any type, to be honest. Nice looking seats. Plasticky, but nice. Rear console, your heater, or air blower, air vents. We've even got door handles on the insides of the doors. So yeah, nice bit of detail there. No doubt I could just stick a camera in there if I wanted to drive it around. We've even got rear view mirror and a bit of detail up there. Yes, I would think this is probably a relatively expensive toy grade radio controlled car. Certainly more expensive than the sort I would buy. The most annoying thing about this car is not knowing who the manufacturer is or who sells it, because the detail on the bottom doesn't really help me, although if you're German it might help. Look at that again. Dario Marcanetic, yeah, I can't pronounce that. Or Diasaw Toys, DX. Right, so we've looked at the front, we've looked at the middle, we've looked at the detail in the inside the car. So now we'll have a look at the back end. Bit of hot glue there. That sort of makes you think that maybe it's been broken. Right. Move the camera back down again a bit. So the back end's similar to the front end in that these wheel arches are part of the required bodywork. They provide the suspension there. That's probably going to fall out, so we'll save that. silver plastic just there is the stub exhaust pipes. I won't bother unscrewing them, but they clearly unscrew and pull out. Okay, that bit of sticky tape's going to have to come off. Okay, so that's our other wheel arch. Right, so say this looks to me, that bit of hot glue on there, looks like a bit of a temporary fix, doesn't it? Why else would you have a bit of hot glue on there? Right, a couple of screws there, a couple of screws there. Ready? Let's have a look. What have we got? Ooh, we've got something that's not going to come apart because we need to get those wheels off again. Had this on that Lamborghini. Well, that's frustrating. No, that doesn't want to come apart. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. Let's zoom in a bit. So what we've got, the seam of the gearbox goes along here, and you've got this sort of dog tooth effect just here, or carcellation, I don't know. But you can't split the two halves unless you can get that way, out of the way. And it doesn't want to come apart because the wheels are holding it together. So I'll either pull really hard and see if we can get a wheel off. I might do that because I didn't do it on the Lamborghini. So I'll stop filming and I'll try and pull really hard. Well, much as it pains me to admit it, I can't get it apart. Exactly the same as the one that was on that Lamborghini. You need to get the wheels off to be able to separate the two halves of the gearbox and motor assembly. The wheels must be pushed onto ribs on the end of the axle, and I've tried a lot of excessive force to try and pull them apart, and I can't. We'd be down to hitting it with a hammer or something next to try and get them off, which I don't want to do. I mean, it is working, so it seems to be a shame to actually destroy it when it is working, even though it only cost me £1.50. You can probably see there I've used a fair bit of effort just there trying to lever it far enough apart to separate it, but that was no good. So it's either a matter of take the tyres off, drop this into boiling water and see if that softens up the plastic enough to get it off. I think that's about all you could do really. And even that might not work. So yeah, we'll just have to put the back end back together. I am just thinking about boiling water. It will spoil the look of it because it will probably discolour it. I might give it a try. Leave that to warm right up as best we can. They're nice tyres, nice detail on them. No, it's not moving at all. Well, that was a complete fail trying to get that apart. So, we might just as well put it back together. It would have to be a destructive tear down if we were going to get that apart properly. I'd have to actually smash these wheels off because they're just not going to come off even with the amount of force I've put on them. which is a shame. Because I would like to see how these actually go together. That's not making very good contact. Put the tyre on the same way round as the other one. Yeah, that's on the outside. Right, so can we remember how that went? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? It's got to be that way, because it's not going to fit otherwise. Forwards, that's backwards. So it's got to be that way round. Yeah, that's forwards, backwards. Spring back in. Pillar for that spring to sit on. Sometimes you want a magnetic screwdriver and sometimes you don't. It's the little pillar I was on about. It would have been nice to see what motor was in there, wouldn't it? And we can sort of guess looking through there, but can't actually see for sure. I wonder why it did have a bit of hot glue on the back there. Doesn't seem to serve any purpose, unless it might have originally held the wire. Still working. So, there we go. Teardown completed. Failed because we couldn't get the rear gearbox, differential, motor unit apart. That's as far as I'm going to go.
Hey, thanks for watching. There's plenty of videos on my main channel with more added daily, so don't forget to subscribe and enable the notifications to keep you up to date with my new releases. You can help keep my channel running by donating $1 on Patreon to buy me coffee. You can always find more information in the video description. Thanks again for watching.